Welcome back to another explainer. Okay, let's dive into this. Today, we're unpacking something that's honestly just fascinating: the cognitive foundations of video-based learning. Basically, our entire focus today is on the science behind visual learning. We're going to completely demystify exactly how our brains process all that educational content we just devour on a daily basis. If you've ever found yourself wondering why certain presentations totally stick in your memory like glue, while others literally fade away the second they're over, well, the answers lie in the cognitive mechanics we're about to explore together. So, I want you to ask yourself a super literal question right now. Why do we actually learn better when we watch something? As you're watching this very explainer, just kind of take a second to consider your own cognitive mechanics, right? Your brain isn't just passively soaking up a screen. No way. It's performing this incredibly complex, rapid-fire series of operations to make sense of what you're seeing and hearing. The science we're digging into today answers this exact question, completely pulling back the curtain on why this specific visual format is just such a powerhouse for human comprehension. Let's start right at the surface, though, just to get our bearings with a clear definition. At its absolute core, video-based learning is just acquiring knowledge or skills through educational videos. Honestly, it sounds incredibly straightforward, doesn't it? But think about it. Every single time you sit down to, say, master some complex new software, or maybe you're trying to figure out how to fix a leaky pipe around the house, or you're studying a new language using visual media, you are actively participating in this specific process. You're deliberately pursuing knowledge through this exact medium. But here's what's really interesting. The foundational power of this medium doesn't just come from slapping moving pictures on a screen. Far from it. Video-based learning actually works by combining two or more distinct communication formats. And it's that combination, that deliberate, almost orchestrated layering of different data streams hitting your brain all at the exact same time, that takes a simple piece of media and totally transforms it into a robust educational tool. It's like a symphony for your brain. Let's look a bit closer and see how this builds by checking out the specific communication formats we have available. So here are the first four: spoken explanations, on-screen text, illustrations and diagrams, and animation. And honestly, if you think about it, this is getting a little meta, right? Because we are actively using on-screen text and spoken explanations together right this very second. You're listening to my voice give a spoken explanation, and you're reading along on your screen. The synergy of these specific formats is exactly what drives the whole learning process forward. And the toolkit gets even deeper than that. We've also got live demonstrations, screen recordings, real-life scenarios, and even interactive questions. When a creator or an educator sits down to build a learning module, they have this massive dynamic palette to paint from. They can mix a live demonstration with interactive questions just to test your knowledge right there on the fly, or they can seamlessly blend screen recordings with text. It's this highly customizable toolkit, and the whole shebang is focused heavily on delivering maximum impact straight to the viewer. Because of that massive toolkit, the versatility is just staggering. I mean, video content is used across an incredibly diverse spectrum of environments. It can be totally standalone, or woven right into online education and blended learning setups. We see it utilized heavily in traditional classrooms, absolutely, but also in really specific, high-stakes fields like employee training and healthcare education. And of course, it's the absolute backbone of self-paced learning, letting people basically scale their education to whatever speed works best for them. So the crucial point is, with all of these different communication formats flying around and all of these diverse applications from classrooms to healthcare, what is the actual fundamental advantage here? I mean, why go through the effort of coordinating spoken explanations with illustrations? We all know the method is super popular, but to truly become better learners, we need to shift our focus a bit. We really need to understand the underlying cognitive mechanics that give this medium its serious edge. This is where the science behind visual learning gets really, really fascinating. Because first, we kind of have to shatter a very common misconception. The misconception is that educational videos work simply because they cram in more information than other formats. Actually, scratch that. The reality is something entirely different. The true value comes from presenting relevant information through coordinated visual and verbal channels. It is not about the sheer volume of data being thrown at you. It's all about the coordination. It's the synchronized delivery of what you see and what you hear that basically unlocks a deep understanding in the human brain. And this brilliantly illustrates a core scientific framework, the cognitive theory of multimedia learning. This is the big, overarching academic framework that explains how learners actually build understanding. And honestly, this theory fundamentally redefines you, the learner. It essentially says, hey, you are not just some empty vessel waiting to be filled up with facts. Rather, you are an active processor. When an explainer coordinates those visual and verbal channels just right, it plays directly into how this theory says our brains naturally want to process the world. Now, this overarching theory actually breaks down into a highly specific, almost microscopic cognitive journey. There are 3 exact steps to building understanding when you're processing multimedia. So we aren't just talking about abstract academic concepts anymore. We're about to look at the precise, mechanical process your brain executes, literally milliseconds at a time, to make sense of this coordinated visual and verbal info. Let's walk through this step by step. Step 1, selecting. Your brain is selecting important words and images from the presentation. Out of all the noise and stimuli, you filter for what matters. Step 2, organizing. You take those selected pieces and you build a coherent mental representation, like a mental model, right in your head. And finally, step 3, connecting. You connect those brand new mental models with your existing knowledge. You tie it to things you already know. And the most amazing part? As a focused learner, your brain is performing these exact 3 steps right now. You're selecting my words, organizing the visual layout, and connecting the whole puzzle together. Which brings us to our final thought. The science behind visual learning clearly demonstrates that you are an active builder of understanding, definitely not a passive consumer. So, now that you know exactly how your brain utilizes these coordinated channels to select, organize, and connect words and images, how will you change the way you learn next? Like, how can you approach your own study habits or training sessions with this powerful cognitive theory in your back pocket? Just keep those 3 steps in your head the next time you sit down to learn something new. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep actively building that knowledge.